how did you get into My Little Pony in the first place?
It actually started on one of those IRC kind of chat things. I had a couple of friends in there, and the conversations all of a sudden, I would say probably maybe halfway into the first season, so last year, they started getting very pony-centric. And I had no idea what they were talking about. I was completely confused. I had no exposure whatsoever to the show before that. Sending, image macros and videos and things like that, and I found it to be really strange, to be perfectly honest. I decided at some point to give it a shot. I did it linear. I started with the first episode, and basically, I was like, okay, this is not bad. Kind of strange, still don't get it. Watch second episode. This is a little weird. Watch third episode, fourth episode, and so on and so forth. I think that's how it starts for a lot of people. But before you know it, you've watched, some 8 hours of ponies, and you're addicted. And there's no looking back.
Did you realize how big the fan base was when you started watching the show?
No, I didn't, and I'm kind of wondering how big it was at the time, because I started watching it maybe around the Sonic Rainboom episode. That's what was new, that was fresh then. So I don't think it was as organized as it is now. But I think it was starting to get that kind of viral appeal. I was, like I said, starting to see a lot of image macros, a lot of videos, a lot of those trailers and pony music videos and whatnot. So, at that point, I just decided, okay, well, there must be something to this. There must be some sort of reason. I hope.
What was it like watching the fan base blossom?
No, it was really incredible. I mean, to me, the thing that's amazing is just how many mediums it basically invaded. We're talking about music, we're talking about art, we're talking about video. Every single aspect that you could possibly imagine was, in effect, ponified, which I think is interesting. I mean, even vernacular, there's an entire now, kind of language, an idiomatic, sayings that are based off of the pony show. So it really was kind of unbelievable initially. I wasn't sure if it was ironic, if it was some kind of a joke or something like that, and it really wasn't until I started watching the show and understanding that this was really a quality product that kind of warranted the attention that it was getting, and that's when I myself started to really, get caught up in all of it.
Yeah, okay. Switching over to music, how did you get started playing and writing music?
In general, I mean, I started, back when I was young. I mean, I was in the band and I did that whole thing. I played the trumpet actually, did marching band, did jazz band. Around the end of high school, I was thinking, okay, what am I doing? And I decided that, music was going to be my deal. My degree was in music education, so I mean, obviously, I went to school for music, but it wasn't specifically for composition. I performed on the piano. That I picked it up pretty late, but I, kind of ran with it. And I didn't really start composing, my own stuff until I would say really about 4 or 5 years ago. And I just little piano pieces and things like that, trying to apply whatever musical knowledge I would garner from my experience at school. But I really didn't start to seriously compose until this whole pony thing started, believe it or not.
What made you decide to make pony music?
It was completely arbitrary. I'm not even going to lie. I watched what was the name of the third episode of season 2? Was that the Lesson Zero?
Lesson Zero, yeah.
Yeah, and there was this one little piano motif at the very end, right as Princess Celestia was, giving her little message of admonition to Twilight Sparkle. And there was this little piano riff, and I don't know why. I just really liked the way it was integrated. I liked the subtle kind of mode mixture that it used, using the minor 4 chord. So I sat at my piano and I just kind of spun something off at random, and I was like, well, this is going somewhere. I may as well try and do something with it. So on a complete whim, after I completed that composition, I threw it onto YouTube, and it found its way onto Equestria Daily. I don't know how. I guess somebody liked it. Somebody put it up on there. So here's what I do. I wake up. It has about 100 views. I think, wow, that's pretty good. I go to work. I come back from work. It has about 200 views. All right, not bad. I go to bed and wake up, and it has 10,000. And I'm just like, what is going on here? So I had to kind of do a little bit of legwork on my own and try and find out, what happened. And that's when I stumbled upon Equestria Daily. Keep in mind, I barely even knew it existed at the time. So when I looked on there and I found my song in a post, and then I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy how much attention it can garner. And really, that kind of motivated me to start writing a couple of other pieces based on, the background themes and stuff like that. And I mean, the rest is kind of history.
So I guess technically William Anderson inspired you to make pony music.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for all the composers that work on the show, but William Anderson, I think he's kind of like the unsung hero of that show. Because it's background music, it's meant to be in the background. It's not meant to, to take precedence over the plot, over the characters, over things like that, but to support them, which is an interesting notion, but at the same time, the amount of effort that he puts into those scores is just tremendous. I listened to his interview that was conducted by Mondo Pony, for, I think it was Everfree Radio a couple of months back. And, I mean, the guy is really just brilliant and has, such a great attitude, about his craft. So I really kind of try and choose I choose a lot of themes that he works with and try and glorify them with, like, piano arrangements and things like that. That's really sort of like my main mode of kind of giving him his due credit that he needs.
What was your favorite episode of the first season?
Oh, that one's an easy one. That would be Party of One. The episode goes practically homicidally insane. I think that was the episode that made me like a brony. That was when I got it. Because, I was watching the rest of the season and I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, this is a good show. I don't really understand why there's this, viral popularity. But then I saw that episode and that sealed two things for me. That was one, that I probably was a brony at that point. And that I definitely had gone just beyond a casual interest. And two, that Pinkie Pie is my absolute favorite pony, and she has been ever since.
What about the second season?
Definitely, it would be the last roundup with Applejack. One, because I think that overall the pacing is really good, the writing is tremendous, and also I think the moral, it really kind of like, I think it's one that can relate to a lot of different age groups. Just the idea of the pressure of performance, of trying to not trying to impress, and that was the whole thing that was great about Applejack in that situation. Is it wasn't so much that she was trying to impress anyone, but that she felt a sense of duty to accomplish, her rodeo thing, for the sake of fulfilling a job that she had at home. And the fact that, the shame that she felt for not actually being able to do that was so great that it compromised her own element, which was honesty. And I think that was a pretty powerful narrative choice right there. And it definitely resonated with me because I can say I've experienced similar pressures. So that would probably be my favorite one from the second season.
You have a very different style of music. You do classical. Most of the fan music in I guess in general is either electronic or like I guess acoustic rock if you want to talk about acoustic brony. What's made you decide to continue doing classical?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's, my personal aesthetic. I like classical music. I listen to it a lot. And, I always say, when it comes to music, it's like food. I mean, you are what you listen to. So I listen to a lot of that stuff and it comes out of my music. People have said they've heard, Rachmaninoff or Grieg or, even Beethoven, things like that. But also I think, it's an opportunity for me to introduce a lot of these fans of the show to a music that they might not otherwise listen to. I mean, they're going to get so much electronic music. They're going to hear rock on the radio. They're going to hear rap on the radio. And I mean, that's all good and well. And those artists who do that kind of music, they're great. And I have tremendous respect for them. But you really don't have a lot of representation for classical music in the arts in general. It's really underrepresented. It's pretty misunderstood as well. So to be able to use ponies as a vessel for getting people interested in other composers and other genres that they might not have otherwise listened to, to me that's a really big thing. I've had people who will send me messages saying, I listened to this and I'm wondering who inspired it because I really like the sound, and I'll tell them, well, look up these guys, look up Prokofiev, look up Rachmaninoff, look up all these big scary Russian names and stuff that you may end up like being like, wow, this is really great music, and to me that is huge. That is really a huge motivator for what I do. And the same thing now, with jazz when I compose in that meeting.
What do you think of the job Daniel Ingram's done with the show's big songs?
I think he's excellent. I think though he really impressed the pants off me with the This Day aria. I mean, that one's become a really popular song throughout the community anyway. But I was just really blown away by the melodic content. I mean, that's what he does. He's a songwriter mostly. I know he composes and he does do orchestrations, but the songwriting in that is just tremendous. The way the melody worked and the way he also mixed in, again, some of that mode mixture was really tremendous to me. I was very impressed by that. And I've done two pieces, based off of that theme already. So I think that's kind of a testament to how much I enjoyed it and how much I appreciated it. In general, for the other songs, I absolutely do like them. I have plenty of them on my iPod. I have a lot of respect for what he does, and I think that it's great. I'm very excited to see what he's going to be doing next season, because apparently they have a lot more songs planned, and I think it's going to really give him some time to really stretch his compositional muscles and show us some really incredible tunes, because the guy has incredible talent. But then again, everybody who works on the show does. It's a real conglomeration of raw talent and vision, and I think that's what makes it so great, and he definitely contributes to that.
Do you know what the only song that they sent back to him was?
No, I don't. What is it?
The Cutie Mark Crusaders theme. He had to redo it 3 times because it kept coming out too good.
Too good? Really? So he actually was contracted to make a bad song.
Yeah, well, because that's what the song was, the purpose of the song in the episode. He couldn't make a bad song.
Yeah, I mean that must have killed him as a composer, trying to figure out how do I make this worse. I mean, I think for any artist, it's like what do I do? I wonder how he had to handle that. And it's interesting, that song has a really kind of like unique place in the fandom anyway, because from what I've seen, a lot of people are really ambivalent about it. It's either a love-hate kind of thing. Either they get the irony, they get the fact that it's supposed to be bad, or they just hear it and say it's bad, and that's that.
What was your favorite song of the first season?
Favorite song in the first season, that would be Art of the Dress. Definitely Art of the Dress. Everyone thinks it's going to be Winter Wrap-Up, and trust me, Winter Wrap-Up is great, has a nice hook. I really like it, but Art of the Dress, I feel like it was integrated into the narrative of the actual episode so well. Almost like a musical, which, as you saw in season 2, that's kind of the direction he started going. It was more like Broadway-esque, kind of like what you find in a Disney cartoon or something like that. And I feel like that was one of the first songs where he really managed to nail that. Also, melodically, I think it was great. I really enjoyed. Also, do you know the name of the singer for Rarity? Because it's fairly.
I can look it up.
But I think she has a lot of talent. I really love her voice, and they used it really well in that episode. I think the interesting thing that some people forget about songwriters is that you're not just writing a melody for anybody. You're writing it specifically for that character and for that character's voice. And as such, you need to make sure that you accommodate that voice. You accommodate their range. You want to put it in a place where it is going to make them sound the best. And I think that Ingram really nailed that. He really understood, where her voice would sound best, in what kind of, melodic register, and then, wrote a piece that was a knockout.
Kazumi Evans.
Okay.
Yeah. What pony do you think has gotten the best songs in the show?
Wow, I want to say Pinkie Pie, because she just randomly breaks out into these songs, just absolutely hilarious. But I mean, if we're going to talk about raw songwriting quality, I think it would probably be Rarity, because I just mentioned Art of the Dress, which is one of my absolute favorites, and then she has another great one in what was the name of the episode? I know it was season 2, episode 9, and I think that one was also a really strong one. And again, I love the way that while she was singing it, it was showing, all the various ways in which she was assimilating into, privileged life, with, going to the museums and going to the opera. And I think that was just, it was really, really well done. And I really enjoy that. I love it when songs don't become a moment where time kind of stops and it's like, look at us, we're singing, but we can actually see that this music has been integrated into the actual, the actual narrative process of the story. And I think that's when the songs shine the most for me. So I think Rarity has the best luck in that sense.
All right. Okay. What are your top 3 favorite fan-made songs?
Top 3 favorite fan songs. That is. Let's see. I mean, I can say one off the top of my head because I know I'm a big fan of Dr. Dissonance and his I believe it's Art of Industry. I really dig that one. Again, it's a Rarity one, so maybe that's part of the reason why I really enjoyed that. Also, let's see. It's just that there are so many. I mean, it's such a huge fan base. I mean, top 3 artists I could do, top 3 songs. It is a toughie.
I think. Give me your top 3 artists then. Who do you think?
Top 3. I think I would put Dr. Dissonance on there. I would put Mackin, and actually, and this one just kind of popped up, and he's not as well known. But Derpy Crash, if you're
I know who Derpy Crash is.
Yeah, I really love his stuff. I mean, it's just, especially some of that electro swing that he does. He introduced me to that. I had never heard of that before until I watched Applejack in Manhattan. And I listened to that song, and I was just like, what is this stuff? It's so crazy. You know, because it incorporates, you know, the elements of electronic music, which is already so popular in this fandom. And then it kind of, you know, contextualizes them into, you know, into jazz, into swing, and uses those instruments. And when I heard that, I was just like, I'm sold. This is awesome. And then I listened to some of his other stuff, and he's also, you know, he's very varied as well. He does, you know, some electronic music, some acoustic. So I really appreciate that. And I think, you know, these artists really need more exposure, unfortunately. I mean, everyone knows Dr. Dissonance, everyone knows Mac, and he's, you know, really big. But, you know, it's a shame that, you know, some of these other artists are having such a hard time kind of, you know, getting through.
Yeah, part of the problem is there's just so many people making quality music that...
So many choices. I think that's the other thing I've noticed, because I mean, like, even if you look at Equestria Daily, you know, the amount of attention that the individual music posts get, it has kind of taken a downturn. I mean, before, I would say about a year ago, well, I wasn't really too aware of Equestria Daily a year ago, but like, you know, when I started composing music, I mean, those posts would be getting hundreds of comments, you know, and would be getting thousands and thousands of views, and nowadays it seems like because of the oversaturation, people aren't paying as much attention, and they also aren't doing the legwork to go out and find artists that they like. You know, they're basically sitting on whoever they're familiar with, whoever they know, and you know, they're pretty much stopping there. And I think that's unfortunate, because there's a lot of talent out there that's going unnoticed due to the oversaturation.
You said your favorite pony was Pinkie Pie. Who's your favorite secondary pony?
Definitely Octavia, and not just because, you know, she's like the inadvertent classical pundit for everything, but I think her design is so awesome. I love the way they drew her, and obviously the bow tie, because bow ties are cool. And you know, I think she's a really cool character. She's currently on my desktop right now, so she's my background. She's the best. So I would say she is definitely my favorite background pony.
I like the little Matt Smith reference in there.
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, and you'd think then, because I'm a Doctor Who fan, that it would be Doctor Who's, and for a while it was. But he came along before Octavia, and it was, you know, on that season finale when I saw it, I was like, there she is. Design, love it.
Last question, and this is definitely the hardest. How hard is it to upkeep your hair?
Oh, the hair. Well, I mean, to tell the truth, I don't really put that much work into it. I mean, you know, run a little bit of water through it, some conditioner, and there you go. I try and not fuss with it too much. It used to actually be a lot longer. Let me tell you, it used to be like a total bar of stuff there. But I've trimmed it a bit to look a little bit more presentable for interviews I have coming up. But not too much. Not as much as you would think.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
All right. Thanks a lot.